Hi, I'm Jan from Have a Daily Cup of Mrs. Olson. It's my page that I like to share the things that make me happy. And today I'm going to do just that. Two things that make me happy are finding junk treasures and creating. So today I'm going to do that with an old cooler. You can see it's not in the greatest of shape, but by the time I get done, you're going to love it. So I'm painting it, turning it into an American flag for patriotism. Okay, the first thing I did, and I went ahead and did this ahead of time because I figured you'd be pretty bored watching me give this top 3 coats of white paint. So I painted the top of it white, and you can use any kind of paint. I just used this white paint that I had on hand because I'd been painting some baseboards around the house. But you could use any latex paint. Okay, so after you get this painted white, what you're going to do is you're going to take a ruler, and I'm going to be using 1.5 inch painter's tape to make my stripes. So knowing that, I've measured this area so that I can make sure my stripes come out evenly. And then I figured that if I do about a 4.5 inch area blue for the stars, that it'll work out perfectly, and then I'll have 4 1.5 inch stripes below it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of the painter's tape, and I've marked right here with a pencil 4.5 inches. So I'm pushing it down there, and I've marked on this side 4.5 inches, and I'm pushing it down there too. Okay, the important thing is make sure you push your tape down really firm so you won't have any leakage. You notice that this has a little rim around the edge. This has been dented in, and I may end up painting this a color later on, but for now I just left it. And I'm going to show you a tip later how to get a nice clean edge without taping off. Okay, so I've got my first 1.5 inch strip there, tape paint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure another 1.5 inches, make a pencil mark, do it on this side also, make a pencil mark. Then with more of the tape, I'm going to put the tape down here. Okay, now you all know that I'm from the good old USA, so I'll be painting mine like an American flag. But we'd love to hear where you're tuning in from, where you're at, and what you would paint on the top of your flag, on the top of your cooler, I mean. In fact, there's going to be a giveaway, and if you leave a comment, you'll be eligible for a free tote given by Hometalk. And in your comment, we'd love for you to tell us what you would paint on the top of your cooler. Maybe you wouldn't want a flag, maybe you'd want something else. But I will tell you that the flag is a fun conversation piece when you take it on picnics. And here in America, we have all kinds of holidays that have to do with the flag. We have Memorial Day, we have Flag Day, and we have our 4th of July celebration. Okay, so now I'm ready. The reason why you paint it all white at first is because the colors red and blue would take tons of coats getting this to cover up. But by having a white background, it won't take us so many coats. Okay, and what I use for my palette is just a handy dandy old paper plate. Okay, and then, so these places that we've covered with the tape here, they're going to be our white stripes. You can use any kind of paint that you want, but I just happen to have these on hand, and I'm a true believer of using what you have. This is some red chalk paint that I had, so I'm using it for the red. And these are just, I did buy these new because mine had dried up and they were on sale for 99 cents each, so it's an inexpensive project. They're just water-based latex paints. Okay, now you could just paint this, and you don't have to be an artist to do this, folks. It's just fun and easy, quick and easy. And as long as I can remember, I have always had the desire to create. And so this is just something fun, just, you know, easy to do. And I chose to stencil it because I think it's faster. So anytime I stencil, I take a piece of paper towel and I fold it like this, because if you've stenciled before, you know that you don't want to go on there with wet paint on a stencil brush or it's going to run underneath. So I get into my paint. Here I am getting into my paint. And then I do in a circular motion on the paper towel. If this looks really wet, you've got too much. You want it to look a little bit dry. Okay? And then you quickly just do this. And I can see right here, just by glancing, that I've got my tape a little bit off. Okay? And then you just quickly do like this. Just fill it in. I'm going to do a couple stripes for you. And then I'm going to do the blue area with the stars to show you a neat tip how you can do the stars. Now one thing too, if you want it darker than what it is, each time you load, don't forget to blot. You can go over it and give it a second coat. But I kind of like the primitive look, so I don't know that I will. I just want to fill it in. Okay?
Say hello, Dolly. She's online.
Oh, hi, Dolly. Who else is online? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear where you're from and what you would put on the top of your cooler. Okay, I will tell you that I found out that coolers are harder to find than what you think. They might be, to find the old metal ones. People have gone to plastic nowadays, and a lot of them have just gotten rid of them. So I hope if you're interested in doing this, that you can find a cooler, because they are a real treasure. And maybe there's one that's hanging out in your garage, maybe one in your parents' garage, or even your grandparents. So if you can find an old cooler, that's great. That makes it even more fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, just so you can get the idea, is I'm not going to stencil this one right now. I'm going to let this dry a little bit, because then I'm going to want to cover this area so I can do the blue. But we come up here, and with more of the tape, I'm going to put, I've made a little mark here. You can see if I take this and my pencil, I can draw a line here for you to see. This is where my blue area will be. And this will be the blue area for the flag. And it doesn't have to be in perfect proportions. It's just fun, and it can be exaggerated. I even thought about painting this in aqua color for a change, because I love aqua and red together. But then I decided, nope, let's stick to the true American flag. Okay, so we're going to do here again, I need to measure another 1.5 inches down so that we can make sure our stripes are all about the same. Is there anybody tuning in that can tell us where they're from and what they would paint on the top of their cooler? Because we would love to hear. Okay, so now I'm going to put that there. And for some reason, I'm going to double check this, because this looks like it's a little wider. There should be three stripes here, and there is. Okay, that's it. That's why I was confused. I needed to make sure I have another line there. Okay? So we're going to have 3 more stripes. We're going to have 7 stripes total, I think. And it's red and then white, huh? So I'm putting the tape here. Does anybody have any questions yet? How many of you have ever stenciled before? We'd love to hear any suggestions or ideas that you have. One thing that I talk about on my blog is about how things make me happy. And it's what I call filling your cup. And that's why my blog is Have a Daily Cup of Mrs. Olson. Some of you that are around my age might remember that cute, Swedish Mrs. Olson.
Linda Giselle Roth wants to know, what is the white paint?
Okay, the white paint, Linda, I use this. I just used a latex house paint because I had it on hand. But you could use this too. You could use any paint that you have on hand. I'm using a chalk paint for the red just because I had it. Okay?
Linda also wants to know where she can get a metal cooler.
Okay, that's the tricky thing, Linda, is finding out where the metal coolers are. I will tell you, I went on Amazon, and they have made reproduction ones, but you're going to pay a pretty penny for it, more than I wanted to pay. My friend Dolly actually had this one that she got for free, and she's letting me paint on it, and then I will gift it back to her because it's actually her cooler. So finding it is a little harder than what I realized, but hopefully you can find one. And to be honest with you, I have not tried painting it on a plastic cooler, but I have painted the top of an old picnic basket like a flag, and that's really cute too. So that's another option. I am going to, just to be safe right here on this one, put another piece of tape right here along this edge so that I don't have to be really careful while I'm stenciling, and I don't have to worry about going up on here. And I did tell you, I did mention in the beginning, I may end up painting this border a color, but I'm not sure. I'm a real visual person, so until I see it finished, I'm not sure if I'm going to want that painted or not. So I'm going to wait and decide on that in the end. So until then, I'm just covering it up to leave it silver. This painter's tape is the best thing they ever invented.
Ramona wants to know, do you add a seal on top and finish like a clear gloss? Okay,
the one that I will show you that I have painted previously, I did put a clear varnish on it, and it was an old varnish I've had forever, and it's a gloss. It gave it a little bit of sheen, but I decided maybe I wanted a little protection because I'm going to use it as a display piece in my garden shed when we're not picnicking with it, and so I thought maybe I wanted a little protection on it, but I'm not sure that I like the gloss. If I was to do it again, I would paint it, varnish it with the matte finish and not the gloss. I'm not crazy about the gloss, the little bit of sheen, and you'll see that in the end. Okay, can you see how I'm just stenciling here? I'm going to do one more here, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the blue so that you can see. I'm going to take one more little piece of tape, even though the blue will cover it, but I'm just going to be safe and put a little piece of tape right there. And remember, anytime you load paint to stencil, go back to the paper towel and blot it a little bit. That way you won't have to worry about paint running underneath. But if you do have some run underneath, sorry, I can't talk, you can go back and touch it up just a little bit. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention is I believe that by sharing the things that make you happy, or what I call fill your cup, you're helping to make other people happy or help fill their cup. Because who doesn't like a good DIY?
Rosa from Spain says she'd paint a board game on hers.
Oh, see, now that's an awesome idea. I will tell you, there is one thing that I have seen, and that is the Union Jack flag that I love. I would love to see a Union Jack flag painted on one of these. But a board game would be really fun, and you could actually use it like in a game room as an end table, and then really play games with it. Great idea. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Okay, while I let that dry a little bit, I guess I've got enough time to go ahead and do this last stripe. See, it really works up fast when you stencil it. And I think it's just up to you if you like more coats and want it very solid. You can see as this is starting to dry. Can you zoom in here a little bit, hon? As you can see as this is starting to dry, it's a little bit blotchy. And if you didn't like that look, you would go back with the second coat. But I'm only going to do one coat today just for time. And then if I decide afterwards, I will give it a second coat. I do remember that on the one I'm going to show you in the end, I did do 2 coats. But that's just a matter of preference. Okay, see the tape again? Remember, you push it down nice and firm so that the paint won't go underneath. And then blot your stencil brush. I can't emphasize that enough. It'll save you so much time in the end. You won't have to clean up the underneath. Now watch me say that and watch it go underneath. But no, I'm just teasing. It really shouldn't, but you never know. Things do happen. Okay, so here I am blotting again. And you can see how quick and easy it is. It's just a fun project. It really is. And I love the idea of doing a game board. Does anybody else have anything to share what they would paint on the top of their cooler? Or do any of you know if you have one of these hanging out in your garage, or if someone you know has one? What got me to do this is I had picked up an old cooler at a yard sale when my husband and I were out of town, and I just put it out on the deck and thought it was kind of a fun piece for summer to decorate with. And it was already in pretty bad shape when I got it. Okay, see, I'm taking that off. See when you pull the tape off? I'm doing that just so that I can put some tape here now and do the blue. Now, one thing that I did worry about on this one, this cooler has these little ridges. It makes it a little bit trickier that paint could run underneath, and you can see a tiny bit right there. It's not much.
Pavitra wants to know what kind of a brush do you use?
I'm using a stencil brush. To paint the white, I just used a big brush like this. And to get a nice clean edge, you don't go like this to get a nice clean edge. You use the side of your brush and flatten it, and it'll just fall right along that ridge and fill that in nicely for you. And then for my stencil brush, you can use any kind of stencil brush. In fact, I'm using this one for the stripes. I'll be using this one for the stars. Okay? So anyway, this one just has a little bit of a ridged surface, but it doesn't look too bad. I might go back in a place or two just because I'm a little bit fussy and that will bug me a little bit, so I might go back and touch that up a little bit.
Nicole Hanshu says she'd paint her baseball team's name
for
the ball games.
See, now that's an awesome idea. The kids would love it. They would. How fun would it be for a kid to go to the cooler and get out a soda or water, whatever you have in it, that has their team painted on it, their team's logo. I think that's a great idea. Okay, so you can see how it's coming together really quickly. And you know what? I don't mind it one coat. I kind of like it. I'm taking it off so that now I'm going to come back and put some paint here. That's why I wanted to some tape, excuse me. That's why I wanted to let that dry just a little bit. I'm going to come back and put some tape here now so that I can paint the blue. Okay, any other questions or any other ideas of what you might paint on your cooler? We'd love for you.
Dolly Johnson Ario says she'd paint a bird and a nest with eggs on.
Okay, now that's right up my alley.
Probably use it on her porch.
Okay, that's right up my alley because, in fact, my granddaughter was here the other day and she brought me a picture of a bird and she said, "Grandma, do you like this?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I knew you would because you have birds all over your house, Grandma, and you love birds." And she's right. I love birds and I love nests. And I love decorating my front porch. So she hit all the win-wins for me. I would love doing that. We'd love for you to like this or to share it. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, can you see how I'm just taping off that area there? Okay, now I'm going to get out a new palette just because I don't want to have the colors run together. Shake that paint a little bit just to mix it up good. And I'm putting some of that out. And this is when I will be using my brush. I guess I should be noticing the time. Okay, we'll be finishing up here pretty soon, but I want to at least show you how to do the stars, a really fun and easy way. Okay, I'm loading my brush, and this is how I was telling you. You just see how I'm just pressuring that along the edge? You should get a nice clean edge. Should just fill that in nicely. And then you can go with lots of paint in the middle to make it quick. Fill it in as fast as you can. But you don't want to gob it along the edges. You just want to load your brush nicely pressure.
Stephanie Spear wants to know what brand of paint it is and how do you keep it from fading in the sun?
To keep it from fading in the sun, you can finish it with some type of varnish. You can use a spray varnish. I did use this on mine, and it's just a brush on, and it's because I've just had it. But I'm not crazy about the gloss. If I was to do it again, I would use a matte finish because I don't like the sheen. So I would use a matte. And the kind of paint I'm using is just any latex, any acrylic paint, excuse me, will work, or a latex. Because I did use a latex paint for the background. Sorry, I've got it backwards. Here's the latex paint I used for the background. And then I'm just using these little acrylic paints. And this happens to be the Ceramcoat brand, but any brand is fine. Any acrylic paint. Okay, I want to hurry and get this painted so I can show you an easy way to cut your own stencil for the stars. You can buy stencils, but if you don't want to spend the money, I have found a really easy way.
Gwendolyn wants to know if you'll show the completed coolers.
Yes, I'm going to be showing a completed cooler in just a few minutes. So I'm trying to hurry and get this painted for you so I can show you how to stencil the stars. So can you see how I'm just filling that in? Remember, just pressure that brush along the edge and it should just give you a nice clean edge. Only I've got the tape on here, so I'm not worrying about it as much. A lot of times I don't even tape off. I just let my brush do the work for me. But I'm showing you a really quick and easy way to paint. And you know, whatever design you decide to do, if you decided to do a game board, you could still tape it off to do checkers or something like that. That would be great. And if you are an artist and can paint your own nest, that would be awesome. If not, I'm sure you could find a stencil of a nest. Okay, while that dries just a little bit, I'm going to show you what I use for my stencil. I take simple recipe cards. These are kind of thin. I usually use heavier ones, but this is what I found. Hurry. Okay, and then I just take and punch a couple stars. So here's a star, there's a star. If you don't have a punch, this is what I use. If you don't have a punch, you could download an image off of the internet and cut it with an X-Acto knife or draw your own star. And then I just start stenciling. That's still wet, so I'm not going to be able to demonstrate that for you. But I'm going to show you the other cooler right now so you can see. Plus, I'm going to turn this around so you can see that the front of it is a little cuter than the back, even though this is very rusty. Okay, this is the cooler that I painted before, the one that I got at the yard sale. Can you see that it has a little bit of sheen on the top? I'm not crazy about that. I would use matte varnish next time if you want protection, or if you're not worried about it, you just let it age gracefully. And this is how I used for my stencil the same time, and I just randomly stencil stars. And I don't mark it. You just always kind of like brick. You do 2, 1 in between, 2, 1 in between. And that's the rule of thumb. Thanks for joining in, and we hope that you'll like this Facebook page. Thank you.